You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
Before we begin this review, a word of caution. Spoilers for the first two episodes of Disney Plus's Daredevil Born Again follow. You have been warned. Marvel Television's two-part premiere of Daredevil Born Again starts with an all-time great superhero brawl, as if to assure fans that yes, Daredevil is back, just like you remember. The resurrected series is a worthy continuation of the Netflix show and picks up where Season 3 left off, essentially making this retitled series de facto Season 4. No time is wasted as Charlie Cox's Matt Murdoch is dealt a traumatic blow and faced with the unexpected return of his greatest nemesis, Wilson Fisk, once again played in a bone-chilling fashion by Vincent D'Onofrio. I wonder if your darker half would agree. Though Born Again lacks some of the nuance of the original, and its story seems to be a retreading of some familiar ground, its new twist on the Murdoch-Fisk rivalry makes it very much a devil of a good time. Things start on a relatively happy note for Murdoch as he enjoys drinks with longtime friends Foggy Nelson and Karen Page. It's a law of nature that Matt Murdoch cannot have sustained happiness, and it's not long before all hell breaks loose, thanks to a returned Benjamin Poindexter. This is Poindexter as we know him in the comics, Bullseye, the sociopathic costume assassin who kills with whatever objects within reach. Watching him go toe-to-toe with Daredevil in a knockdown and drag-out fight, employing razor-sharp knives and weaponized billiard balls, feels like seeing a comic book come to life. That it's all a seamless one-shot sequence that tracks their movements through a bar and into the apartment building above makes it even more impressive. It is beyond sad watching Murdoch lose his best friend Foggy after all they've been through, and it's truly surprising to see Murdoch try to kill Bullseye, given how he let Fisk live at the end of Season 3. But if anything was going to push him to break his most important vow, it would be Foggy's death. Tragedy sees Murdoch abandon the mantle of Daredevil and fully commit to being a benevolent lawyer who doesn't go around punching criminals at night, which makes things all more difficult when Fisk returns, not as a kingpin of crime, but as something far more dangerous, a politician. It's this new dynamic of attorney Murdoch versus Mayor Fisk that makes Born Again feel so exciting and unpredictable. The way the first episode closes with these two unstoppable forces on an inevitable collision course is epic. Normally we have to wait a while before Murdoch and Fisk share the screen, but I'm glad we get right to the good stuff this time around. Watching these two longtime enemies have a civil conversation at a diner is a real treat. Tension is so high, there may as well be a stick of lead dynamite on the table. And miraculously, they don't come to blows. Instead, trying to see the best in one another while also laying down some not-so-veiled threats. There might have been a time when a convicted felon winning a prominent political office would seem unrealistic, but hey, 2025 feels ripped from today's headlines. That said, the show sidesteps any specific real-world politics and instead focuses on exploring themes of empowering bullies and the responsibility one has to stand up to them.
Alright, TV and movie fans, let's be honest. Keeping up with your favorite shows, new releases, and live events can feel like a full-time job. You got one app for binge watching, another for live TV, a separate one for sports. Before you know it, you're paying for 5 different services and still missing out on what you actually want to watch. Well, Hulu plus live TV changes all of that. With Hulu plus live TV, you get the best of both worlds. Not only do you have access to Hulu's massive streaming library, we're talking thousands of movies, hit TV series, and exclusive originals, you also get over 90 live channels including ESPN, ABC, FX, Fox, NBC, and more. That means live sports, breaking news, and your must-watch reality TV all in one place. Plus, let's talk convenience. No cable box, no contracts, no hidden fees, just instant access to the shows and games you love, whenever and wherever you want. Watch on your TV, laptop, phone, or tablet. It's completely up to you. So if you're tired of the hassle, the high prices, and the constant FOMO when a big game or season finale drops, Hulu plus live TV is your all-in-one solution. Sign up today, cancel anytime, and start watching the way TV was meant to be on your terms. Get Hulu plus live TV now and never miss a moment. Use the link in the description. Join today.
While the story of Public Defender Murdoch taking on Mayor Fisk is fresh and juicy. Other elements of the story feel a bit stale. Didn't we already do a story about Murdoch wanting to give up being Daredevil in Season 3 of the Netflix show? The one that's partially based on the comic arc that gives Born Again its subtitle? The details of the situation are different here, but some of the bigger ideas being explored feel like a rehash. Maybe they should have just called it Daredevil Born Again again? There's a real sense of satisfaction when Born Again makes it known that it's a genuine part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In the years since we last saw this version of Daredevil, he's shown up in Spider-Man No Way Home, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and Echo, where Fisk also appears, following up D'Onofrio's encore of the character in Hawkeye. Now, Born Again even has Mayor Fisk making a reference to Spider-Man, something we thought was impossible only a few years ago. This may seem like a small thing to the casual viewer, but to longtime Marvel fans, it just feels good to see the Marvel Universe made whole. Curiously, even though dealing with New York City's vigilante problem is the main plank of Mayor Fisk's platform, there's no mention of the United Nations superhero regulation laws, aka the Sokovia Accords. Murdoch did mention that the laws were repealed during his guest role on She-Hulk, but still one would think Fisk would use those accords as a precedent to establish his version of law and order. The second episode of Born Again introduces us to a new vigilante called White Tiger, who began operating in the time since Murdoch retired his Daredevil persona. The story of Hector Ayala in the comics is a complex one, and the show is so far doing a good job adapting his tragic case of wrongful imprisonment. Hearing Murdoch chastise Hector for going out at night looking for trouble as a vigilante is real rich, whether he realizes it or not. Handling this case is forcing Murdoch to confront some things about himself, and it coats every exchange with an extra layer of meaning. Things come to a head when a pair of corrupt cops try to execute Murdoch. Cox does a phenomenal job playing the escalation of this dire situation. You can see how much it genuinely pains Murdoch knowing he's being forced to break his peaceful streak, and when he does, he absolutely explodes on these two poor guys and rips them to shreds with a horrifying savagery. This scene once again reinforces Marvel's pledge to keep the show just as mature and violent as it was before. While the main thread about Murdoch and Fisk is strong and compelling, there is a noticeable lack of interesting supporting characters so far. Not a Wesley or Agent Nadine in sight. It's hard to feel invested in Murdoch's detective friend or his new lawyer partner who seems to exist merely to provide a bit of exposition. Poindexter made for such a fascinating character study in Season 3, yet here he's been reduced to a one-dimensional baddie, and that's a little bit of a letdown. But putting the hatchet down, there are still plenty of episodes to go, for all that to be remedied, of course. A couple of new faces do show some promise, such as Murdoch's new romantic interest, who happens to be Fisk's marriage therapist, and a young video journalist who interviews Fisk, not knowing he killed her uncle with his bare hands. We'll have to wait and see how their story develops. Regardless, Born Again feels properly nestled within the larger MCU, while still maintaining Daredevil's mature tone and fantastic lead performances. And at the onset, getting that right is what matters most. Hell yeah. Let me know your thoughts on episode 1 and 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Give us a thumbs up if you like our video. Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification button to be notified of future videos. And if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.